All right, what's going on, everyone? All right, guys, what's going on, everyone? Oh my goodness. Let's start. All right, guys, what's going on, everyone? First of all, I just wanted to thank you all for the amazing support. The past week, honestly, has been amazing. I mean, I've had countless close friends of mine call me, text me, say, hey, like, I love the podcast. I love what you're doing. I had a good talk with my buddy on Sunday last week after I brought out that third episode, and he really, we had a really good talk just about in general and how it really has helped him out and how it's helped him grow as a man. And I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, because just the fact that I'm getting so much support and there's a lot of people out there that do seem to need my help and do seem to want to be able to learn and grow and just be better all around younger men. It makes me very happy. And, I'm going to continue to, bring these episodes out to you guys as long as you guys continue to enjoy them and like them. My only goal, guys, is just to serve as many people as I can, men, women, whatever. I just want to serve the guys, though, that are younger, that are my age, early 20s, or might be in your later teens, graduating high school, maybe starting college, maybe post-college, not really sure what you want to do with your life. If you're that category and you guys just need help mentally and you just need someone to kind of lean on, hey, I'm right here for you, and I'm never going to leave you, and I'm always here to support you guys and help you guys out. My only ask, though, guys, is that you just like and subscribe to the YouTube channel here, because what that's going to do is that's going to create a great network of young men and women that just want to continue to grow and get better, and that's honestly all I want to do is just help you guys, again, continue to grow and get better. But again, thank you guys so much for the support. And without further ado, let's get into today's video. So by the title of this video here, it's probably one of my favorite topics ever, because we've covered a lot of sensitive topics the past 2 weeks. And I think now it's really time to get down to the nitty gritty stuff as into how to be a high value man. Now, obviously we're all in our early 20s. Hopefully if you're watching this, that's the target audience I'm going for. So if we're in our early 20s, we're like, Rob, how can I be a high value man if I'm 21, 22, 23? Believe me, you can. And it's possible. I'm living proof at 23 years old, and as a business owner and as a guy that's just an entrepreneur and wants to learn and get better, that you can be a high value man and you can become successful at a young age, and you can actually inspire people that are 2, 3, 4 times your age. I mean, I've trained people up to 82 years old, and I've had great conversations with them, and they're like, hey, you are helping me. And the fact of the matter that I'm only 23 and someone who's 4 times, 3 times, 2 times my age is saying, hey, you are helping me grow and get better, that's all I can ever ask for. So the topic of today's video really is down my alley of how to be a high value man. And I just hope that this serves you in some way, guys, and helps you. But so, first of all, what is a high value man? When I think of someone that's a high value man, I think someone that's confident, someone that's very poised, someone who, and this is going to sound a little different from what you probably hear on YouTube, someone who doesn't necessarily, and it's good to have everything together, but to be a high value man doesn't mean you're always going to have everything together. A great example of that is back in 2016. I always had a good calling for sports. So I was a decent football player in high school. When my father had left, that I'm like, okay, it's my time to shine. I need to be that high value man that my mom, that my family needs, So what I'm trying to say is, at 16 years old, I had nothing together. I was a poor student. I was a poor boyfriend at the time. I was a poor worker. I just loved to hang out and just do stupid stuff with my friends, like most 16-year-olds do. My point being, though, is when, the thing happened with my dad, and I was like, hey, I need to now, it's on me. The legacy is now on me. I need to snap out of this little thing that we're in, and we need to work. We need to go. So what I'm saying here, guys, is to be a high-value man, if you're watching this and you're like, okay, I'm a little lost in life, you can still be a high-value man, and you can still bring value to other people. And that's the beautiful thing about today's topic. So what do we do when you're a high-value man? Well, I just said it. You actually want to start by working on yourself. Now, working on yourself doesn't mean you're going to lift a bunch of weights, you're going to have a nice six-pack, you're going to look real good. That's part of it. But working on yourself, too, is you should suffer. You should have moments where you're anxious, where you're maybe a little depressed, where you're maybe not really sure if this is the right, should I have moved to this city? Should I have dated that girl? Should I have done this thing? The way to become a high-value man is through experience. We have I have books. I have all these things. Probably one of the best books I ever read. I have books. I have all these things that I tutor myself with and educate myself with. But hey, do me a favor, throw the book away for a second. It's great to read. It's great to self-educate, and it's great to lift weights and look good on Instagram and all those things. But that does not make you a high value man. What makes you a high value man is saying, I'm looking in the mirror. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm going to put my best foot forward today. If I'm suffering from let's just say a breakup, if I'm suffering from a death of a loved one, if I'm suffering because I'm anxious and depressed and I don't know what to do, you are still a high value man or woman. You're still a high value individual, but the way you become greater and become better is by growing through the suffering. I read a really good quote a while ago, and it kind of went along the lines is, growth is inevitable when you are suffering. And it's funny because a lot of us guys, especially, I feel like, okay, I want to be big, I want to be macho. That's important. Not saying that's not important. That's definitely important. But no one talks about the real stuff. You need to suffer to become a high value man. So my dad left. I was horrible. I was anxious. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I'm like, hey, I have nothing together, but I'm going to start getting it together. So when you're in those cool moments of you're suffering or you're in a depressive state or whatever, something really cool happens because it's like, hey, we're either going to grow or we're going to stay stagnant. And I don't know about you, but I sure as hell ain't staying in one place. I'm going to move forward. And people who know me watching this video know I am very wiry, which can be a very good thing and a very bad thing. But everyone who knows me knows I'm going to go forward. I don't care if I have to come. I don't care if I have to drag you along with me or if I have to go alone. I am going to go that way. I'm going to go forward no matter what. So again, I know I just got very passionate there because it's probably one of my favorite things to talk about. But being a high value man, just understand this. You don't have to have it all together. You should suffer, and you actually should do something hard. Well, Rob, what do you mean by doing something hard? What I mean by that is you should move to that city. You should ask that girl. You should lose your, I don't know, if you're overweight, you should lose that weight and become trim. And the reason why is because when you do something hard like that, it actually builds immense inner strength. If I'm 300 pounds and I'm 6 feet tall and I need to lose 120 pounds to be in the healthy zone or 100 and whatever pounds to be in the healthy zone, I'm probably not going to be very good at it for a while because that's a very uncomfortable state to be in. But over time, you kind of say, okay, I weigh this amount of weight. I want to be the best version of myself. Let's just go on a walk. And then slowly but surely what happens is you're 10 pounds down. You're 20 pounds down. Oh, look at that. You're 100 pounds down. And then you become a high value individual because someone's going to come up to you who's 300 pounds and say, man, I can't lose this weight. And you're going to say, hey, man, you can lose that weight. If you're overweight, you can definitely lose that weight. You just have to put your mind to it. Same thing goes along if you're like, hey, man, there's this girl I really like. She's a beautiful young girl or a really smart young girl or just a really good individual, a really good girl. I want to go and see her. I want to go ask her out. Hey, man, go for it. Most guys are funny because they're and I get it. They're scared of rejection. Don't get me wrong. Rejection sucks. Rejection isn't fun. But what I'm saying is you asking the girl out or not isn't the important part. My point is putting yourself in that very uncomfortable situation where you're just like, ugh, like I don't know if I feel good about doing this because there's a big chance it could go south. That's where the confidence is built because you're doing something that is difficult, that's putting you outside of your comfort zone. But at the same time, too, you might actually end up getting like, oh, I'm gonna go ask this really awesome girl out. And she goes, hey, let's go out for this Friday night. Cool. Or she might say, hey, thank you, but no thank you. Cool. You're gonna learn either way. If you go out with a girl, you're gonna learn if this is a good person or a bad person and what kind of a girl individual you like. If she says, hey, no thank you, I'm good, you're gonna say, hey, no hard feelings, totally get it, move on from it, it's whatever. But putting yourself in those situations are just so important, And those are two very immature situations, like asking the girl out, it's whatever. But more or less, guys, when you're really working on yourselves and self-isolating, working out is so important. Working on yourself is more important. Again, self-educating is always important too. But a lot of people think, oh, it's through the computer and learning online and listening to the podcasts. Listen, I know I'm a podcaster right now, and I know podcasts are awesome. Podcasts don't do jack for you. You need to go out and experience things. And when you experience things, you're going to grow. It's going to force you to grow. So first big lesson here, guys, is when you want to become a high value individual, work on yourself by suffering, by doing something very hard outside of your comfort zone. And when you're suffering, believe it or not, you are a high value individual. You might not see it like that yet, but in a few years, you're going to say, okay, thank you for making me suffer. I'm now a better man. The second thing is the hardest thing for me. This is probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do, especially online right now, but I'm going to do it because I think it's important and I think that you guys will learn from this. The second way to be a high value man is this. Admit your mistakes. Admit your mistakes. As someone who considers themselves a high value man and someone who's very, I don't want to say egotistical, someone who's very humble, and I know I can lose everything in a second, don't get me wrong there. But at the same time too, someone who has gone through a lot, right? I tend to, when I still have this problem, I tend to think, oh, screw it, I'm right, they're wrong. I'm right, they're wrong. The best example I can give you is I had a really good person in my life that I'm not going to name about a year ago, right? And I'm like, you know what? This individual is really, really cool, but I feel like the grass might be greener on the other side. I'm going to now go out and explore the world. And I did, and I grew, and I will never change the world for it. But at the same time, too, you might be like, ugh, what if you hadn't treated this person this way? What if you went left instead of right, you know? Point being, guys, is when you're admitting you're wrong, that's another thing that's very uncomfortable to do, and it actually, again, will build you up into the man that you are. Because I don't know about you, but if I have a wife and kids one day, and they're like, and my wife is like, hey, Rob, I think we should go do this, and I'm like, hey, I really don't think we should do that, and I do something else, and it's a mistake, I'm like, all right, you're right, I was wrong. And the beautiful thing about admitting your mistakes is I kind of call it, this is my brain, how I am. Instead of saying, hey, I was wrong, I kind of call it a course correction. I'm like, okay, I thought this a year ago. I now feel this now. I was wrong from last year to this year. I now understand the mistake I made. I'm not going to make it again. And that goes back into the thing I said about 4 minutes ago or 3 minutes ago or whatever it was with experience. You have to experience these things. If you experience these mistakes that you do end up making, it's a beautiful thing because you're like, okay, I said I was going to do this, and I made a mistake with this person. I made a mistake with this experience. I made a mistake with this job. Hey, I was wrong. I'm going to learn from it. And people actually really appreciate that because I have a lot of personal training clients that want to know a lot of fitness. And I know a great ton of fitness. I don't know everything, but I know a good amount about fitness. And there's times where they're like, Rob, what do you think about this injury or this muscle or that muscle or this or that? And I'm like, hey, sometimes I don't know. I can research it for you and find it out for you. And it actually is a lot more respectful and actually pretty cool when someone says, hey, I'm really not sure about this one thing. Or, hey, I really made this mistake. I apologize. Let me now course correct and become better. Because when you make a mistake, you typically, I'm hoping 100% of the time, not all the time, but typically you learn from the mistake. And this is the great thing about the universe and about life. If you don't learn from the mistake, you're going to repeat that mistake over and over and over again until you learn from it. I mean, I'm literally the best example of that. I've made countless mistakes. And I kind of sit down and late at night or whatever, and I'll kind of reflect. I do reflection, which is a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. And I'm like, you know what? This situation probably wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I made the mistake of doing this action. I am now a better man because now I know if something like that happens again, I'm not going to make the same mistake. So first two lessons, guys, that are really important today are working on yourself, embracing the suffering, doing something hard, and just admitting your failures, admitting when you're wrong. It's okay when you make a mistake because you are trying. The last thing here, it's going to be the same thing as last episode, but I have to say this because it's so important. After the first two lessons or things you go through are done, I want you to do a few things. 3 things in particular. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to learn from whatever you've done. So if you made a mistake, if you suffered, if you were depressed, if you were anxious, if you were overweight, if you were a bad man, if you were a bad woman, it's okay. Learn from it. I was, oh my goodness. if anyone knows me from like elementary school and like probably like 12 years, if anyone knows me from elementary school and below, they're probably not even going to recognize who I am as an individual because I was that bad. Like when I was 8 years old, this is a true story, by the way. When I was 8 years old, I got arrested twice. That's not me lying. That's not me being hyperbole. That is legitimately me being my honest self to you, saying I got arrested twice, right? At 8 years old. If you see an 8-year-old getting arrested twice, you're probably like, okay, this kid might not turn out to be maybe that good of a man. And what I say to that, and I'm living proof of it, is you can turn anything around as long as, again, you learn from what you did and you grow from what you did, especially from what I did. There were so many times when I was younger where people were like, well, I don't want to be this guy's friend. He's really intense and he's really, really, really aggressive. And as an adult, as a young adult now, I still sometimes have to control that because I'm overly aggressive in terms of my work, and that's just who I am. So what I'm saying is there's times where I'm like, okay, I'm going. I'm like, whoa, okay, take a breath, slow down, learn from it, course correct from it, and we'll be good. So again, growing and learning in that third lesson are really, really important. And this is probably the best thing ever because when you make these mistakes, when you go through these cycles of trying to suffer and figure something out and doing something hard, you actually, again, you learn everything, but then you grow. And again, growth is suffering. So then you grow as a man. And then, this is I'm trying we got to keep it together. I'm trying my best not to get emotional on you guys, how I did last week. But it's amazing when you go through it because when you are a high value man and you're out on the other side and you're in the world, there's so many relationships, whether it's romantic I've had and or friendly that I have, like with my group of friends, like my boys, like I love my group of friends. Like I have a good slut group of friends here in Bucks County, and I think all those guys know I would die for them in a heartbeat. They're my boys. I love them. We've been friends since middle school. We do everything together. Are awesome. What I'm saying is when some of my friends will come up to me and they're like, Rob, I'm having problems with this girl, or Rob, I'm having problems, with this guy, or I'm having problems at work. People will come to me and they'll call me, and I think I told you earlier in the video today that my one buddy called me for 20 minutes. Like, hey man, I need help out here. I got a FIO, figure it out. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm in a new city, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, hey, rock and roll. Let's go. What do you need help with? And we had it was probably over 20 minutes, but a good talk, and it really helped him out. And it helped me out too, because I can really understand him better. Point being though, guys, when you become a high value man, you can sit back and people actually come to you, and it's a pretty cool feeling. Same thing with romantic relationships, guys. I mean, like when you are a high value man, which I can consider myself, I've had plenty of awesome girlfriends, great girls. We never talk bad about them ever. They're sweet girls. I made my fair share of mistakes in terms of dating. Again, the same thing, you learn from it, you grow from it. But my point being is when you're a high value man, you attract a certain type of a person into your life. And I'm just going to say this right now on a limb that I regret none of the relationships I've been in. And every relationship I've been in, you kind of grow from it. But the cool thing is when you consider yourself someone who's very high value and very hardworking, you then are four things. You're a protector, you're a caretaker, you're a provider, and I'm also very faithful too. Now that might come off as like, well, that's a lot of things, Rob, at 23. That's pretty intense. That's just how I am. And anyone who I've been with in terms of a significant other, I'm sure would tell you the same thing. Like, yeah, man, he does most, he helps pay for things, he helps do most of the stuff, because I just believe as a man and as someone who's high value, if you do love somebody in an intimate, romantic way, you take care of them. And some of you guys might be on here saying like, hey, dude, I do not agree with that at all. And I'm like, cool, you don't have to. That is just what I believe. Because again, as a man, when you guys continue to progress in your careers and continue to progress socially, you're going to understand why I'm saying these things, because you're going to be looked, especially when you're a high value guy, you're going to be looked up to as a provider. So, when my wife and kids come up to me, they're like, Dad, I have a problem here. Rob, I have a problem. I need you to help me out, solve it, figure it out, support me. I'm like, hey man, let's rock and roll. Let's go. That's what we do. So that was a lot in about 20 minutes. So I apologize if I just kind of like mumbled a little bit there. I hope everything was clear for you guys. But again, to summarize everything in this last minute to 2 minutes here, how to be a high value man. You work on yourself. You have to suffer. You have to suffer. So that could be a death. That could be a heartbreak. And yes, I said death. Some people will leave you. I lost my father in 2016. I lost very good friends not recently and also in the past. I've lost friends and family members. You have to suffer to grow. I've lost very awesome significant others that I didn't want to lose. Again, you have to suffer, because in the suffering is when you're going to learn. Do something hard, work on yourself, work out, get fit, get in shape. Your body takes action, your mind will follow. Your mind will follow 100%. Admit when you're wrong. I'm man enough to say I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, and I'm not ashamed of it. I've made too many mistakes to count, and I'm still making the same mistake because I'm not done learning. But again, admit your mistakes, admit when you're wrong, and dude, just learn, grow. Help others, help individuals out, man. Don't be selfish. Go out there and be a provider, be a caretaker, be respectful to everyone, because everyone has something to teach you, whether they hurt you in terms of emotionally or whether they care for you in terms of emotionally. Everyone has something to teach you guys. And just learn and grow, man. Learn and grow. Be the best version of yourself. Dedicate your life to a higher purpose. And that's really the key. If you dedicate your life to your purpose, you will be a high value man, and you will attract everything you need. To wrap up the video here, guys, I've dedicated my life to service and fitness. When I say service, I don't mean like military police. I mean service as in like I've dedicated my life to basically serving others. And it's a lot, because you lose people, you gain people, you lose people. But I think every fitness professional out there can agree with me. When you're a fitness professional and you care about somebody so much, you take that business mindset and you apply it to people in your life. And when people in your life end up leaving or walking out or whatever, it magnifies that. And that's a price I'm totally willing to pay if I have to continue to climb this ladder of success and climb this ladder of hierarchy. But again, guys, sit on the podcast, listen to it a little bit. Try to maybe meditate to it, close your eyes and just try to listen to my voice, even though I probably sound like I'm going a mile a minute, which I always am. And just be your best self, man. And your best self isn't perfect. Perfect is BS. There's no such thing as perfect. Go out there, work on yourself, suffer, do something hard, admit when you're wrong, grow and learn, and the most important thing, when you are where you should be, help the people out next to you and beside you. Help them out. Please, guys, like and subscribe to the video. I'm going to leave some links down below if you guys want to get in contact with my LinkedIn and my Instagram. I may even leave my personal training app down there if anyone wants to get in shape. But guys, keep, remember, fitness is the way forward. Keep moving forward, guys. Keep God first. And let's have another week to get better here. All right, guys, I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a great week. See ya.